working on a plan B as well. I'm hoping that if you are new or first time here in the room, you might be going through an evaluation process. We've already met the person who has invited you over here a couple of times, right? And the idea today is just to get to know about this opportunity a little bit more. Now, you may find that some information is something that you're already aware of. It has been discussed with you, but that's fine. It's always good to revise. There will be some information which will be new. If you can go back home today with some questions which make you think, I would have met my objective, right? So we'll do that. I need to tell you this, I have one bad habit. I do ask questions in the middle. If I don't get a response, I'll start from the beginning, right? So if you want to stay here for a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, don't answer. But if you want to get the information and move on to the next steps, let's make it interactive. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yes.
Good. I got the answer. Perfect. Now, just to set some context, right? Can I have a show of hands? Everyone knows the gentleman who's in the center? Everyone? Yes, yes, yes. Good. Yes. Anyone who knows the two gentlemen on the top? Not many, right? So there's a story. Obviously, Mark Zuckerberg, when he was in college, one day in his college, he invited 5 of his friends to his dorm room. And he said that, hey, I have an idea to discuss with you. Why don't you come? 2 of the guys out of the 5 came, right? Other 3 decided to drink beer, which is more important apparently to them. Now the 2 guys who came, obviously Eduardo Severin and Dustin Moskovitz, along with Mark Zuckerberg, at some point in time they were all owning Facebook. Now they're split, but even after they split, they've made billions. The guys who decided not to turn up, we don't know who they are, right? So there's a message over there. There is another infographic that I put over here. Now, who knows Travis Kalanick? Not many? So he was the founder of Uber. Everyone has heard about Uber? Yeah. Right? When Uber was a fledgling business back in US, he was looking for some good people to work with, right? And he was not finding many people. So he actually reached out to his network on Twitter and he posted this message. Which basically says that I'm looking for someone to work with me. I'm not able to find someone, so how about you reach out to me? Within 3 minutes of his putting this tweet, he got a response, and that gentleman who actually responded, Gary, he eventually became the general manager of Uber at that time, right? The point that I'm trying to make over here is that some of you, if you are new over here, you might have been invited over here through someone whom you either knew, didn't know, met offline, met online, doesn't matter, right? Opportunities don't knock many times. If it has for you, take the opportunity seriously. There are no commitments at this stage. The gentleman or the person who is working with you, he is going through an evaluation process to understand whether you have the mindset to do something extra. He doesn't know that yet. Neither do I. Neither does anyone in this room. And you should also, in the course of these discussions with him or her, try to assess this opportunity a little bit more. A lot of time we make this mistake that we pass on things without understanding about them in depth, right? Richard Branson, Virgin Atlantic, he basically said once that when an opportunity knocks, don't overthink. Don't think whether you can, this will work for you or not. Grab it and then make it work for you, right? Having said that, as I said, there are no commitments at this stage. This is an evaluation process. We are not looking for everyone, but hopefully by the end of this talk or discussion, you may get an idea of what is it that we are looking for, right? Now, I come from India. Back home, I've grown up in an environment where everyone asked me when I was growing up or studying, what is it that you want to do in life, right? What is it that you want to become, right? What's your name? Yeah.
Brendan.
Brendan, what is it that you want to do in life?
At the moment, a psychologist.
Psychologist, yeah. Good. You're new here. What's your name?
Larry.
Larry, what is it that you want to do? Or what is it that you do? You're a musician. Fantastic. Yourself? Brian. Okay. What is it that you do? You're a gaming attendant. Yourself?
Suman here, and right now I'm pursuing my master's from you.
Okay. What is it that you want to do?
Actually, my background is engineering manager, so I want to pursue.
Right. Fantastic. It's a very important thing. And did you notice that when I asked this question, and again, this question has been asked to me also in life a lot of many times, we all answered the job or the area that we want to do something in, right? And it's important because when I was growing up also, if someone asked me what is it that you want to do, I said that my dad says that I should become a doctor or an engineer, right? Because that was ingrained in my psyche that if I'm not, again, this is just from the place where I come from, that if you're not a doctor or an engineer, you are not successful, right? Now we need to understand this thing, that when someone says that I want to be a doctor or an engineer or an accountant or something else, it is defining a job that we will get into or a field of or an area where we want to excel. Any such thing, for us to become successful in that, we need three things. We first need technical skills, which probably we gain through the college or the university that we go in, right? We need domain focus. For example, if I studied mechanical engineering, by the way. So if I have studied mechanical engineering, I cannot become a doctor, right? If your name is Brendan, did you say?
Yes.
If you are studying psychology, right? You cannot. It's hard for you to become an engineer, right? You can, but if you'll have to study a little bit more. And similarly, for me to succeed as a psychologist, I need to either have an aptitude for that, or I need to build an aptitude for that during the course of my degree, right? It is very important. These skills are something that we learn during our university. Now, when I was in Sydney, so Sydney is where I landed in 2012. I was already successful in IT, or I think that I was successful in IT. Me and my wife, one fine day in Sydney, we realized that we have some time at hand, right? And Sydney is expensive. So how about we start looking for something else that we could do, right? And we started looking for some business models. One thing which is very common is, why don't we look into some franchisees? Why don't we buy a franchisee or somewhere, take up a loan, put some money over there, and then hope to recover it in the next 7 to 8 years, right? It's a good business model. All the franchisees, you see umpteen number of franchises everywhere in Brisbane as well. The problem was that I was new in Australia. I did not have the capital to back that idea, right? I could have taken the loan if the bank was willing to, but then it would have taken me 7 to 8 years just to break even. So that idea came very fast and it went away equally faster. But through my social circles, both me and my wife, we met a couple in Sydney, a couple who I now look up to very highly. And he came to Australia as a student back in 2005. He came here to study his master's in accounting. So that was around when he was 25, 26 years old. And by the age of 29, he was able to move away from his corporate career. What do I mean by that? When I say that he was able to move away from his corporate career, he was able to replace his entire income through a business that he built on the side as a student. And why was he able to move away? Because he was able to replace his full-time income that he was earning through his job, to which he gave 40-45 hours every week, through this business opportunity which was part-time. So it did not make mathematical sense to him to pursue both, right? So he became financially independent. Now for me to hear that someone is financially independent or retired from his corporate job at the age of 29 is crazy. It's weird, right? Do you agree with that? Have you, Brian, have you heard of someone who has financially retired at the age of 29? Brendan, yourself? It is unlikely. So when I heard that, and with the fact that I was already looking at some plan B, I started pursuing him. I started asking him, what is it that you do? And can I do what you do? Obviously, it took a lot of doing on my part. It took me 6 to 7 weeks to go through a process, which hopefully you are also in right now, to convince him to take me and my wife under his wings. And obviously, we've now been working, and we are privileged to be working with him for the last few years. The question that he asked me and Sonal was, that Tushar and Sonal, how do you want to live your life? Now this question is profoundly different from the question at the top. Because the question at the top asked me, what is it that I want to do? Which is either a doctor or an engineer. He asked me, what is it that how is it that you want to live your life? Right? And that question, it just knocked me off my feet. Because no one had asked me that. Now Brendan, if I ask you, how is it that you want to live your life? What comes to your mind?
Just want to live a happy life where I'm not having to worry about my finance or anything like that. And yeah, it's a happy life.
Has anyone asked you this question in the last 4 or 5 years?
Not really, no.
Brian, how about you? How do you want to live your life? What comes to your mind?
I want to live outside of Australia. I want to travel. I want to be able to retire back for myself and my own family.
Very profound, and I'm happy you said that. Larry, how do you want to live your life?
I also want to travel the world and see what's out there and not be worried about financial difficulties.
Fantastic. Yourself?
Mm,
Where do you come from?
I'm from India.
Okay, so same background. So I'm guessing no one has asked you this question as well. How do you want to live your life?
Like, I see my life as like comfortably.
What do you mean by comfort? And again, my idea is not to step on anyone's toes, right? I'm just trying to ask some questions to make you think. So if you don't like something that I am saying, come and meet me afterwards and we can have a chat about it. And I'll try to improve on what I do. But again, how do you want to live your life?
Like, whatever I think about, like, it's right in front of me the next second.
Okay, so materialistically, can I put it that you don't want to look at price tags? Right? Now again, see, one common theme in all the answers that I got from you is that you want to live a life in comfort, you don't want to worry about, or you want your finances to be taken care of, you want to travel, you want to help your parents retire, and you want everything right now, right? A lot of people say that life is not just about money, but having the finances taken care of definitely help. Do we all agree with that? Right? So I want you to think from that particular perspective, that while obviously money may not be everything, but again, we all are either studying or working to make money, right? What we will talk today, hopefully will give you some context of what is it that you can do apart from what you are already doing, right? And if that makes sense, we will discuss it further. But the person, he is obviously my coach and mentor now in the business that I was talking about, he said, the only thing that will help you succeed in this opportunity is certain character traits. He didn't even ask me what is my degree. He didn't ask me how much have I studied. He didn't ask me, or obviously he knew I can speak English, but he didn't ask me that how comfortable are you in speaking English. He didn't give me any aptitude test. All that he asked me was, Tushar, can you build these 5 character traits? And again, I mean, if you, this is looking good now. He said that I don't care what your degree is, I don't care how much you've studied, I don't care which part of the world you come from, right? But can you define, or do you have a purpose? I said that no one has asked me this question as well till now. What do you mean by purpose? He said that can you define why do you do what you do? And I think I've got certain answers from you. So Brendan, you mentioned that while you're studying psychology, your eventual aim in life would be to have your finances taken care of, and basically that can help you lead a better life. Is that right? So can I imply that your purpose in life right now to do whatever you're doing right now, studying psychology, is to lead a better quality of life? Right? Now, how do you define quality of life? What do you mean by better quality? What will give you better quality of life?
Yeah, basically I guess to be happy, family, friends, build good relationships and do the thing that you like.
Good. I'll put this into an equation for you. So the gentleman that I'm talking about, my coach and mentor, he asked me, that Tushar and Sonal, let's assume that we have a scale which can define the quality of our life. And that scale runs from 0 to 10. 10 being the best quality of life, 0 being not so good, right? We can all understand that. And he said that when you define quality of life, think from 2-3 different angles. Think obviously that are you earning enough money every month, right? Think that is your financial future secure. And what do I mean by financial future being secure? That if something happens to my job, if I don't have a job for the next 4 to 5 months, will I be blown off the face of the world? Or my financial security is there that I'll not have to worry too much. And the third thing that he said was that do you have enough time, right? Because Brian, you can be earning $1 billion in a year, but if you have to work 23 hours for that every day, does it make sense? It doesn't, right? Because we need to have a balance between time to enjoy the money that we make as well. So he said, think about your monthly income, think about your financial security, and think about the time that you have at hand. I was poor in all 3. right? Or maybe average in 1 or 2, but eventually what I told him was that, Hemant, I think I'm 3 or 4, or maybe 5. He then said that, okay, and again, I want you to think about this when you go home, to think where your scale is, right? And also, if you are studying right now, think from this particular angle as well, that right now you're just studying, you'll get into a job, right? Will your starting salary in Australia take you to your 10 in the next 4 to 5 years? If the answer is no, it may be a good idea for you to look for a plan B right now, right? And if you're already working, and if your answer is that, hey, I'm already at 7, 8 or 9, then you really don't have to be in this room. You'd rather be at home watching TV, right? This discussion is more for people who want to do extra in life, right? My coach and mentor then asked me that, Tushar and Sonal, now that you've identified that you are either at 3 or 4 or 5, do you have a path to go to 10? I said, again, interesting question. No one has asked me that either. I don't, right? So again, think Brendan, do you have a plan B in place right now? No, right? So it's a good exercise to do when we go back home. And again, why it is important for us to identify where we are in life on that scale of 0 to 10, right? And this is again an example that you may have heard of before. Brian, when you are going from, let's say, you've decided to take a drive from Brisbane to Toowoomba. Have you been to Toowoomba before? Right? Give me a place where you have never been before. Cairns?
Oh, I've been there too.
You've been there too as well? Canberra? Perth?
Yeah.
Now let's say you want to drive from, oh man, it's going to be a long drive. If you decide to drive from Brisbane to Perth, right? And obviously everyone uses a GPS right now, and you enter your friend's address in Perth in the GPS. What do you think the GPS does first? It triangulates your current position. It identifies where you are, because unless the GPS knows what my starting point is, it cannot tell me the path. Right? So my coach and mentor said that unless you know where you are in life right now, it is very hard to put some strategies in place. Any strategy that can take you to 10. So the first thing that he said, that the first character trait that we are looking for is, do we have a purpose? Because unless we have a purpose or a reason, we cannot do, or we will not step out of our comfort zone. So that's the first thing. Second thing that he said was that, are you patient enough? Is success instant? Right? It is not. Unfortunately, we are all living in a microwave environment right now. If I put my popcorns, it should be ready in a minute. Right? And a lot of people think that if I start doing something, I should be able to make income straight away. Now there is a difference over there, subtle difference, but someone who understands that is very critical. It is quick for me. I can make an income quickly because I can work for a day or even work for an hour and I'll get a paycheck for it. Income can be made quickly, but to create wealth, it takes time, right? The question that you answered before, that how is it that you want to live your life? I'm guessing that for us to get to that particular 10, we need something more than just an income, right? I've studied engineering for 4 years. When I was studying engineering for 4 years, I was not getting paid during the course. I finished my engineering, I did my masters. Once I finished both, I got into a job, right? And then I started getting paid. If I was willing to put around 21 years of my life in education, I was patient enough with the hope of getting a degree which should eventually lead me to a job, which I'm not saying will not happen for most of the people over here. There are some struggles, but we will eventually get there. If I was patient enough for those 21 years, any new venture or any new business opportunity requires us to be patient as well. It's a very important factor. Can I prioritize my time, right? A lot of time, we feel that we are always busy. I'm sure, Brian, you are busy as well, right? Are you studying right now?
No.
Oh, what is it? Sorry, I forgot. What is it that you do?
I'm a gaming attendant. So
You're a gaming attendant. You must be busy. How hectic your schedule is every day? It's all right.
Yeah.
You have some time at hand. How about you, Brendan? Are you finished your studies or are you still studying?
Still studying.
Right, students' life is very busy, right? It is, because we have assignments, everything. We have to do some part-time work as well. Eventually, we have to prepare for the exams also. Everyone is busy. My daughter, 4.5 years old, she's more busy than me. I'm not joking. I mean, she sweats more than me because she's always running around, right? If I ask her, Dad, I'm busy. Now, there's a difference in being busy and being productive, right? Brendan, are you on Facebook? And don't mind me picking on you, you're just sitting over here, so you're easy to point, so that's why I'm asking you all the questions.
Yes, I am.
Are you on Facebook?
Yep.
If I have to ask you and be candid about it, how much time do you spend on Facebook every day?
Not much anymore.
But when you were spending?
But when I was, quite a bit.
Mm. Yourself?
Nah,
Not too much? Brian, you? Not too much. It's a good crowd today, right? But I've met people who say that they spend up to 2 hours every day on Facebook. I don't know what they do, but I've met people who do, right? And again, being on Facebook keeps us busy. But are you being productive, right? So that's the question. Every person in this room, has anyone got 25 hours in a day? Everyone has 24 hours, right? I spoke about Mark Zuckerberg, he has 24 hours in a day. A person who is not so well off, he has 24 hours in a day. A homeless person, unfortunately for them, but they are not doing so well in life, but they also have 24 hours in a day. We cannot manage time. All that we can do is prioritize it, right? If we can identify pockets of unproductive hours in our life, we can do something better with it, right? So Hemant told me, it's important. Can you prioritize your time? Can you maintain privilege? This is important, right? And I didn't understand that in the beginning. Right now, all of us, or most of you, are going through a process or an evaluation, right? Where information is being shared with you in bits and pieces so that we can digest it as we go along. This information is not for you to share with anyone right now. This is what Hemant told me, right? This information is earned through a process. He told me that, Tushar, I don't expect, if you're a man of your word, I don't expect you to go out and then start talking about this business opportunity with each and everyone in the world, because that's not how we operate. We go through a very stringent qualification process, right? So it's very important for us to maintain privilege, because if we don't, we are breaking the trust of the person who is investing his or her time, money and effort in helping us understand about something which we are not familiar with, right? Maintaining privilege is very important. And then he told me that how prompt are you, right? Are you responsive enough? You are doing any part-time work right now, Brendan? What is it that you do?
I work at Bunnings.
You work at Bunnings.
Yeah.
Now, you must have a supervisor over there, right?
Yep.
Now, if your supervisor calls you or texts you or messages you or shouts for your name, right? How prompt are you in responding to him?
Not too prompt at the moment.
Would you like to be prompt?
Yeah.
Do you think not being prompt is good?
It's not the best, but I thought about it and it's
Not helping you.
I don't want a career in it, so
Okay.
that's affecting one.
Right. When you do become a psychologist, right? And one of your, and let's say you're working in a, I don't know, you work in a setup where you have a senior psychologist who is mentoring you or who's helping you grow your business. If he calls you or texts you for something urgent, will you be prompt?
Oh, definitely.
Why? Because your future is dependent on that, right?
That's right.
Now, see, that's a very stark difference, because Brendan, you will be getting paid over there, or that's where you will be making a career out of it. Promptness is very valuable. If my boss calls me, I'm up responding to him at 9 o'clock as well. Because if I don't, I can live with it for a day. If I'm not prompt for the second day, it's not good. If I'm not prompt for the third day, something bad is going to happen at the end of the year, right? So my promptness is defined by whether I like it or not, it is defined by what I'm getting out of it, right? I need to understand over here that right now, the person that I'm working with, he has got no vested interest at this stage in your success. But he's still working with you so that you can become successful or I can become successful. So I need to be responsive. I don't want to basically just run around not responding to the information that we are being shared, because responsive or promptness doesn't mean that I have to say yes to everything. Right? Responsiveness or promptness also means that I respect the time that the other person is investing in me. Right? And again, this trait is very important. So what Hemant said, that while I do not look at your education background, I look for these 5 traits. Right? And if we can show that we either possess these traits already, or we are willing to work on building these traits in the few catch-ups that you are going to have with the person that you're working with, this partnership can work. Right? I'm not saying it will, because there are other things as well, but it can. At the end of it, that person asked me that, Tushar, at the end of it, you need to understand what is the circle of your influence. Now, Brian, in the decisions that you've made in life up till now, who has influenced those decisions?
Me, my parents, friends, let's say friends, but mostly parents.
Right, right. Brendan, yourself?
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same, right? It was the same with me as well, right? I love my parents, I respect my parents, I love my friends, I enjoy partying with them. But until the point when I met my coach and mentor, all my decisions were based on the influence that these people carried, right? Now, my parents have an emotional interest in me, right? They are vested in me emotionally. They want me to be successful. But from where my parents came, it was hard for me to see that I want to be like them financially when I retire. I don't know what your answer is. You don't have to answer me. But if we take if the influence that we have is defined by my parents, my family, my friends, do I want to be where they are? This is a question that I had to think when I met my coach and mentor. Or would I rather change my influence to be someone who inspires me financially, emotionally, or whatever it is, right? Because remember this, wherever we are in life right now, it is determined by the influences that we have until now. Wherever we go from now, in the next 5 to 10 years, will be determined by who influences us now. If we don't have a positive influence in life, remove emotional aspects. Our parents are vested over there. But if we don't have the right influence in our life, we will be where we are, right? If I don't change the way I operate, I cannot expect different results, right? That's just now how it works, right? And that's why my coach and mentor said that for us, or for anyone to become successful in this business opportunity, coaching and mentorship plays a very crucial role, right? Brian, do you play any sports? Or do you follow any sports?
Formula
Formula One. Who's your favorite driver? Raikkonen, right? Now, do you reckon that Raikkonen runs the race just on his own? No, right? What Raikkonen does on the racetrack is probably 15, 25 or 30% of what is required to win a F1 race, right? There's a lot of support staff behind him. There's a coach, there's a mentor, there's someone who's looking at his blind spots. There is someone who is looking at his current race and putting strategies on how he can improve in the next race. There's someone who's already looking at what car he's driving, how can I improve the tires, right? How can I reduce the speed at which he changes the tires between pit stops? Everything goes behind him. And he once said that for anyone to become successful, having a coach or a mentor and a support system in place is absolutely crucial. If I'm in a job, right, that thing is limited because my boss at my work is never going to tell me, hey Tushar, sit down. Let me tell you how you can make an extra 50, 60K in the next 1 year. It's not going to happen. But over here, you have an opportunity to work with someone who is either very successful already outside his professional career, or at least is in the direction of going towards that success, right? They say rising tides raises all the ships. So if we are working with people who are already moving in that direction, that is what this business is all about, right? In terms of what is it that we are looking at the end of the road. Now this business runs in multiple phases. Phase 1 is where, and again I have to classify, this is for people who are willing to take it seriously and who go through the evaluation process, right? Phase 1 is where in a period of 12 to 18 months, we can create an income of around 50, 60K per year. Phase 2, 2 to 4 years, it can go up to around 150K plus. Phase 3, 5 plus years, more long term, around 250K plus. But today I'll just focus on phase 1. It is more short term, relatable, and something that we all can envision, right? Now, when I was introduced to this opportunity, 50, 60K, to be honest, did not excite me much. I was already making, keep that aside, but I was making enough in my job at that time that 50, 60K was alright. It was not something which is very exciting. But when I delved into it a little bit more, I understood how different it is, right? Now, it's not always important to know what is the money that we will make, but sometimes what kind of money or what is the quality of the money that we'll make is also very important. I have a question at the bottom of the slide. Has anyone in this room, or can I assume that everyone in this room has heard about active income and asset-based income? Is there anyone in the front row who has not heard about active income? Everyone has. You haven't? Anyone else? I'll talk about that. Asset-based income. Have all of you read the book Business of the 21st Century? You have? Have you? Okay. Your homework is that you get a hold of that particular book, gentleman or person you're working with. Request them to share a book with you. It'll give you some good insights. I'll just put it that way mildly, right? Now, in that book, the author talks about 4 quadrants, right? He basically says that anyone who is in this room right now, for that matter, anyone who is in the world who's making an income, makes an income in one of the 4 ways that are there on the board. I'm either an employee, that I'm working for someone, or I'm self-employed. I'm my own boss. So for example, if I'm working in IT, I'm working for a company, I'm an employee because I get a paycheck at the end of the month. But one fine day I decide that I've had enough of my boss. How would I start my own IT company? How would I become a tradie? I don't work for anyone, but I take out my car in the morning, go do some stuff, become a tradie. Unfortunately, while I may not like having someone else as my boss, if people think that by becoming self-employed it's easier, it's unfortunately not true. Because while I may not have a boss when I'm self-employed, I become my own boss. Right now, I have to run something which is 24/7 because my whole income is dependent on my sole operations. Right? Anyone who fits into this category, and which is 80% of the population in the world, I am also there right now, but I'm working on plan B as well. Anyone who fits in this category is making an active income. An active income means that I'm trading my time to make some dollars in return. Doesn't matter whether I'm a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or an accountant or whatever trade I'm in. Most of the people in this world fit into these 2 categories. I make income because of the virtue of me trading my time. Right? Now, Brendan, let's say that I trade my time 8 hours in a day and I make X dollars. If I want to increase my X dollars to 2X dollars, what options do I have if I am in the first 2 categories?
Get promoted.
Do you think getting promoted can increase your salary to 2X?
Probably not.
Right, I'll tell you, I mean, the average salary hike in Australia every year is 3%. If you get promoted, maybe 5%. Right? So what other options do we have? If I want to increase my income from X to 2X, what options do I have? For 4 hours? Get a second job? Now let's say my family is not being taken care of by 2X as well. If I want to now do it 3X, what options do I have? Work 24 hours in a day? Which is absolutely not possible, right? The problem with active income, again, not putting it down, it's the bread and butter of most of the people in the world. The problem with active income is that there is a ceiling on it. And the ceiling is defined by the time that I can put in. Right? I can work for 2 jobs, but again, it takes time away from my loved ones. If my goal is to travel more, if my goal is to support my family, if my goal is to live a comfortable life, that option will not work for long term. Right? It's very important. In these 2 quadrants, we have something which basically translates or transcends the active income. If I'm in a big business of my own, or I'm an investor, I make something which is called an asset-based income. Right? It's also known as passive income. It basically means that my income that I'm creating is not directly dependent on the time that I'm investing, always. And I'll give you an example of what kind of people actually make asset-based income. Talented people, right? J.K. Rowling. Has everyone heard of J.K. Rowling? Right? Now, J.K. Rowling obviously wrote the Harry Potter books. She wrote them for a few years. She did invest her time for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. But now she's not writing actively anymore. She is putting some new books together, but not as actively as she was doing earlier. By the virtue of the sales that her initial books did, she's already a billionaire. The books that she wrote are her assets. She's very talented, she did that. Michael Jackson, he's no longer in this world, but his music sells every year till now. The music that he created is his asset. Unfortunately, I did not fit in that category, right? Otherwise, I would not be here, right? The next category of people who make asset-based income is high net worth investors. I'm not just saying investors, because I've spent enough time with my friends, my earlier circle of influence. And how about we buy 2-3 shares of Google, right? And then we will tell Google what to do, right? It doesn't work that way. When I say that high net worth investors, I'm talking about people who can live purely based on their investments. A lot of us have ideas that we'll invest in Bitcoin, we'll invest in shares, we'll invest in property market. But what is it that we need to invest?
Money.
Money, right? So, anyone who is a high net worth investor, his investments are his assets. I did not fit over there as well. But then, in the last decade or so, another industry has started, which has come up, which again is creating a lot of billionaires and millionaires in the world. And this category is also creating assets which are online. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, right? But before I go over there, I want to spend just 2 minutes on this. A lot of time we get confused on what's the difference between a big business or a small business. Because I'm talking about this specifically because I wrote big businesses over here, right? Take an example of McDonald's. Now McDonald's, will everyone agree in this room that they are a very solid franchising model across the globe, right? Now McDonald's Corporation is in the United States, right? What does McDonald's Corporation do? McDonald's Corporation, they build a network of franchisees. If I'm interested in buying a McDonald's franchisee, I will have to work with McDonald's Corporation in the United States, obviously through their Australia operations, and I will get a franchisee. Similar to me, there will be hundreds and thousands of people who are again taking franchises from McDonald's Corporation. McDonald's Corporation are not selling burgers. I am. McDonald's Corporation is a big business. Why? Because they are building a network of franchisees. I will be a small business, pretty much self-employed, because I will still be selling burgers to run the franchisee that I have taken. So that's a difference between a big business and a small business. Big businesses rely on creating a network of franchisees. A small business sells. There's a big difference over here. And get some more information about this with the person that you're working with, because it is critical to the aspect of the business that we are working in. And again, what is the difference between a physical and an online franchisee? McDonald's, it's a physical franchisee, right? We operate in the world of online franchisees. What is the difference? Any physical franchisee requires high investment. An online franchisee requires hardly any investment. A physical franchisee, its reach is determined by the area of its operation. If I have a McDonald's franchisee, I will mostly be selling, again as a small business, to the people who are living near me. Maybe someone who is traveling by, if I go to Perth like you, I may go visit a McDonald's franchisee in Perth, but that will be one-off. My reach is limited in a physical franchisee. In online franchising, the world is my reach. Sitting in Australia, we can run businesses in any part of the world. So the reach is more, the volume can be more. In a physical franchisee, my product set is limited because there is only so much that I can stock. In an online franchisee, I can work with hundreds of products depending on whom I work with, right? Now, these factors are very important because what I'm going to explain you next is a little bit first about networking, but then how these two concepts can be leveraged into creating an asset for yourself if you complete the qualification process. Now I was talking about in the end that I'm not talented, I cannot dance or sing, I cannot write. I've tried, but it doesn't work for me. I also do not have enough money at this stage to become a high net worth investor so that I can live off my investments, right? And if you feel that my answers resonate with you also, that you do not fit into those two categories, what is left? Can we look at creating networking assets? What do I mean by that, right? So this is a very common infographic which was doing rounds on social media a while ago. Uber, world's largest taxi company. Facebook, world's most popular media owner. Alibaba, the world's most valuable retailer. Airbnb, the world's largest accommodation provider, right? The common theme is all these companies do not own any physical asset, right? What does Uber own? Uber owns a share of our car. What does Airbnb owns? Airbnb owns a portion of our house. What does Alibaba or Amazon or eBay own? They basically own a portion of our shopping. And what does Facebook own? Most importantly, it owns a portion of our time every day. Right? All of these companies owning a portion of what is ours, they have created a network of users, and because of that, they are billion dollar companies. Right? Now, anyone over here who's paying Facebook to use Facebook? No, on the face of it, it is free. But remember, if I'm even putting 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours every day, I'm putting my time, which could have been more productive in Facebook, and that is why it's a billion-dollar company right now. Right? The whole idea is that if all of these companies have become million or billion dollar companies by utilizing our networks, portion of physical assets that we own, can we be a little bit more smart and try to use similar strategies to build networking assets for us? Will that be a good idea?
Yeah.
Right? Now, how does this work? I'll take an example of Alibaba, Amazon, whatever online retail options that we use. In any business model to work, there have to be three entities. There has to be, put it this way, two entities. There have to be products and services which have to move, and there has to be a consumer, right? Now, this example is a very simple supply chain model which has been running for decades. And if I just take an example of Amazon, right? Amazon has an online system, right? That online system is either an app or a website. Now, what does Amazon do with that? Through that online system, Amazon connects consumers like us to manufacturers and service providers. Amazon do not manufacture anything of their own. They connect suppliers to consumers. Now, if I decide to buy something from Amazon, I'll give my dollars and I'll get a product in return. A part of the dollars that I give go to the online system, which is Amazon, and a part of the dollars that I give go to the manufacturers and service providers, right? So in this equation, there are two entities which are making money. Is that clear? So we have an online system which makes money, we have a manufacturer or service providers which make money. I am spending money, right? Now if we are sitting in this room, I'm hoping that we are over here to understand how we can make money rather than just spending, right? So I'll assume that we all want to move into the category which makes some money. Now, the way these two entities make money is slightly different. Now, for a manufacturer and a service provider, they have to go through a lot of headaches. These are traditional businesses. I have to set up a factory, I have to come up with the idea, I have to maintain my accounts, I have to take care of the manpower, I have to take care of all the legal formalities, I have to take care of all the stocking, I have to take care of all the transportation. Because it is my responsibility as a manufacturer and service provider to get the goods to the consumer, right? So while manufacturer and service providers make money, there is a lot that goes behind it, right? As an online system, my responsibility is to connect the manufacturers and the service providers to consumers, and I make money, right? The money portion may be small, but because volume is so high, it's a $1 billion company right now. Now, Brendan, if you want to move away from being just a consumer to someone who makes money, would you rather be an online system or would you rather be a manufacturer or service provider?
Definitely online.
Make sense? Right? Anyone over here who differs? No, I'm assuming everyone does agree with that, right? This is what I thought as well. What is the challenge that you think will come, Brendan? I mean, in the current world of IT, it's very easy for me to make an online platform. If I gather 5 of my friends who are code junkies, I can give them some beer and they'll make an online platform for me in the next 2 months, right? But once I make that online platform, what do you think you will face as a challenge to complete this business transaction? What is it that you are missing?
Marketing to get it out.
Right? See, I may have a brilliant idea. I can go to Telstra tomorrow, they are headquartered in Melbourne, and I'll tell them that, hey, Telstra, I have a brilliant business idea. I want to meet with your CEO because I want to do business with them. What do you think Telstra will say right to me? No, they'll shut the door, right? Because I don't have market standing. Remember, it's easy enough for us to work and build an online platform, but it is difficult for us to get the partnerships with all the manufacturers and service providers to basically complete the business transaction. Now, what we do through the business opportunity, for people who qualify, we don't have to worry about creating this online system. It's already been taken care of. We work on an online platform which is backed by Microsoft, Oracle, that's the firepower behind it. So once we qualify through the process and we launch our own business, we get a website and an app in our own name, right? So brendan.com, brand.com, larry.com, right? So that basically becomes our online platform. We don't have to worry about it. The challenge that we would have faced by connecting to manufacturers and service providers, that's also taken care of, right? So we are connected with big names in Australia, Telstra, Harvey Norman, Fitness First, insurance companies, home loans, mortgage brokers, personal care, home care, the boring stuff, my proteins, my vitamins, anything and everything that electricity, gas, whatever you may think of. It is a full-fledged online mall. Anything and everything that I use at my home, even if I'm single or with a family, everything is available through u.com. U.com replace your name and it becomes your.com, right? So once we decide that we've gone through the full process and we have the partnership and offer, we get access to these two. So my online platform is taken care of, my manufacturers and service providers are taken care of. What is left? This is where the concept comes. When Uber started, right, it was just an app. It took Uber 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of religiously building that network to become a successful company, right? This opportunity is a 4 to 5 year plan, right? There are no shortcuts in life. As I said, there is patience required in success. If I'm willing to work for the next 4 to 5 years in strategy with the person who is helping me grow, this can become successful. And our idea is that once these two entities are already in place, can I work on some strategies and learn professionally how to build networks? We can start making an income. And I'll talk about this. Brendan, are you single right now? Okay. So as a single person, can I ask you that on things that I've just mentioned over here, electricity, gas, your health supplements, if you work out, your gym supplements, if you drive, your car insurance, your mobile, your internet, the electricity that you consume at home, or things that you use at home to clean house or personal care, do you reckon you spend anywhere between $10, $15, $20 every day on these things?
Probably more.
Probably more, right? I'll take $10, $15 as an example because I'm bad at math. It becomes easier with that. $10, $15 roughly translates to around $400 in a month, right? Any business that I've done, right? I have to be my best consumer. What do I mean by that, right? If Tim Cook, Apple, right? If Tim Cook is seen in the market using Samsung Galaxy S8 or S9, what do you think will happen to Apple? Stocks will go down. Why do you think that will happen? Absolutely. If I don't have faith in my own business, how can I faithfully translate my business to others? And the only way to show faith in my business is to first become comfortable with the products and start consuming from my own business. What do I mean by that? Right now, Brendan, for all the things that I mentioned, you may be going to Kohl's, Woolworths or Aldi and buying stuff from there, right? This is what I've been doing for the last many years before I was in the business. We go there month on month on month, spend those $400, $500 every month, buy goods and services, be happy that we have received some consumables, give all the profit to Kohl's, Woolworths and Aldi, nothing wrong in it, it's a business model that's been working, but all that we get in return are some consumables that we finish. The profit goes to Kohl's, Woolworths and Aldi, right? This business model flips it. It basically says, now you have access to all similar products and services through your own business. No one is selling you that. And you decide that if you finish a toothpaste at your home next day, you decide whether you buy it from Kohl's or you buy it from your own shop. If you buy it from Kohl's, you get the toothpaste, you give the profit to them. If you buy it from your own shop, you get the toothpaste, but you also keep part of the profit. Why? Because it's your own store. Brendan, what makes more sense? Nothing, no rocket science, right? And once we are able to do that, if I'm willing to move my shopping location, some very interesting things start to happen. And I'll tell you what. Let's say, Brendan, I'll take an example, right? Let's say you decide you are in the business of, you run your own clinic, right? And you consult patients. Once you finish your psychology course, of course. And you think that your business, your own personal business is running very well in Brisbane. And now you think it's right time for you to expand in Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, right? Can you be present in all the 4 or 5 cities at the same time? No. So if you have to run your business in all those 4 or 5 cities, what is it that you look for? Potential business partners who have the same background as you and who can run the business for you. Potentially someone who has studied psychology before, right? Now, if you have to find business partners, will you just work with anyone or will you go through a qualification process? Right? You'll have to suss them out. And again, to suss them out, there are various things that you can look for. But if you can look for the 5 P's that we spoke about before, it will help. And that is exactly what the person who is invited here working with you on. Understanding whether we can build those 5 P's in the next 5 to 6 weeks or on a longer term basis. Now, any business basically is run on turnover, right? So the $400 example that I took previously, where I just said that we take a simple switch of buying things not from Kohl's, Woolworths and Aldi, but from our own business, if the similar products and services are available. I'm saying similar, I don't care what brand of toothpaste do I use, right? As long as I'm getting what I need, right, I should be fine. If my business turnover is $400, that is, I'm consuming products and services worth $400 for my own business, the business basically gives us a 3% bonus, which is our paycheck or profit from that transaction or from that volume, and that is $12 profit. Now I could have very well taken these $400 to Kohl's, Woolworths and Aldi and get nothing in return. Over here I'm moving these $400 turnover to my own business and I'm getting $12 in profit, right? Not big money, but hey, I mean, if my boss takes $12 away from my salary every day, I'll fight for it, right? I don't know many people who won't. But the idea is not to just make that $12 profit. And here's where the power of networking comes into picture. As you mentioned, Brendan, that if I have to expand my business, I'll qualify business partners. This is exactly what we do. We share this business opportunity in a very professional way through a series of conversations where we suss them out, if I have to call it that way, or we assess the qualities that we are looking for, and we grow a business network, right? Similar to what Uber, Facebook, and everyone else has done, and they've used our networks. And just to go through it quickly, I don't want to go through everything in detail in numbers, but the person who is invited, you can talk through that. Our eventual goal is that if we are able to move $30,000 worth turnover in our own business, that creates a profit for us or our network for around $6,000 every month. And after everyone in our business network has received what they deserve, my individual profit every month will be around $3,000 to $3,500, right? And the only thing that I've done over here is have enough patience to learn the skills that are required to run this business professionally, right? Success, as I said, is not overnight. Is this easy? I don't think so. Nothing in life, nothing worthwhile in life is easy. Is it possible? Absolutely, with the right coaching and mentorship, we have that in place, right? And obviously, if I reach this level, which is 21% bonus level, if I reach 21% and if I have helped 3 business partners, no worries. If I help 3 business partners reach 21%, I move on to phase 2. I spoke about it earlier. If I help 6 business partners, I move on to phase 3, where I start making 250K. Now, Brendan, if you have someone in your network who says that, Brendan, I like the way you work, I like the success that you have received, will you help me? What will be your answer? Definitely. Why? Because the more you help people become successful, the more successful we become as well. Again, it's a flip from my current job, because my boss, again, unfortunately, is never going to tell me, Tushar, sit down, I'll tell you how to make similar money as me. Why? Because if he does that, his job is at stake. Nothing wrong against him, but this is how corporate world works, right? And this is just a difference in the mindset between job and entrepreneurship. This is an interesting question. Let's say, Brendan, you are here, or anyone who wants to answer. Let's say, Brendan, you are here at 21%. You have 2 business partners whom you have helped reach 21%, and another partner of yours is very industrious. He helped 3 business partners reach 21%, right? In this whole scheme of things, who do you think will make most of the money? I'll tell you my answer. I was naive. So I said that I will make most of the money. I was very happy about it, right? Unfortunately, that was not true. In this business model, the money flows at the point of productivity. What do I mean by that? In my corporate job, again, remember, I'm not putting anything down. It's just the way it works, right? In my corporate job, I have employees, I have middle managers, I have senior managers, and I have CEOs and CFOs. There is no way in the world that me, being in a management position, can make more money than my CEO or CFO. I just cannot. Even if I change jobs, it will be very difficult for me, right? It's called a financial pyramid. Why? Because my money that I make, or the income that I make, is dependent on the position that I hold, right? I cannot make more money until I go up a position. It's a financial pyramid. In this business model, the money or the wealth or the income that I make is not determined by the position that I hold. It's determined by the point of productivity. The person who is willing to prioritize his time, learn skills, undergo the coaching and mentorship, and basically be more productive, the money flows over there. I do have a vested interest. I'm making him successful. I'm also getting a part of the income. but bulk of the money resides over here. It is very important because a lot of times people get confused that is it a pyramid and all those kind of things. Well, I feel pyramids are all right in Egypt, man. We don't need them over here, right? But the point is this: it's important to understand. Get more information about this from the person that you're working with. When I spoke earlier that we need manufacturers and service providers, we need an online system, and we need to build a network. The only thing that we were required to do was build a network professionally. Everything else, my online system and my partnerships with manufacturers and service providers, it has been taken care of by a firm called Amway. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard about them in past or not. If you haven't, I'm surprised because they've been in Australia for the last 40-50 odd years, right? In fact, they've been across in the globe for the last 60 odd years. They started their operations in 1959. They're present in more than 108 countries. So that's why I was saying that an online franchise, the business reach is global. I can build my business in 108 countries 24/7. They hold 1,100 patents and 700 patents are pending. So what I'm trying to say is that if I have to work with a business partner who takes care of all the headaches in the business, who takes care of all the partnerships, who takes care of all the legal hassles, who takes care of the entire supply chain, I would rather work with someone who has a very strong market standing, right? So that I can focus on building networks professionally, right? Now, when I said that if you haven't heard about Amway, you should do research about them, I said research, don't do Google search, right? Because what Google search is, it's a plethora of blogs of opinions of people, right? If I search on Google about Apple, what will I find? Well, iPhone is good or iPhone is bad, right? There's nothing else. Google search cannot tell me what goes behind making Apple a successful company, what goes behind making Apple a successful business model. But I recommend that you go and search about them on Forbes, because Forbes has the information of all the backend systems. Forbes knows what Tim Cook does, right, in terms of strategies to make Apple successful. Forbes has ranked Amway as the 35th largest privately held company in the United States. Right? That's amazing. If I have an opportunity to work for a company which is placed 35th on the list of the largest privately held company, when I'm saying work as a job, I'll be happy about it, right? Over here, there's no job, but there's an offer of partnership, which is even better in my view. At the end of the day, guys, this is how it all fits into together. I personally come from an employee background. This is what I have been brought up to do, right? So I had no knowledge on how to run a business professionally. And that's where it becomes profound over here. When we go through the partnership and when it is offered to us, when we've earned the right to become a partner with this business opportunity, we get connected with two entities. One, on the one side is Amway. Now we need to understand Amway's role. Amway's role is to take care of all the headaches that I was talking about earlier, right? It takes care of logistics, it takes care of my partnerships with products and services, companies, it takes care of all the legal hassles, it takes care of all the customer satisfaction, it takes care of all the necessary headaches, right? For me, to get a partnership with Amway is a 5-minute job, right? I can call Amway in Brisbane and they can get me connected with someone and I can get into partnership with them. It's not a big deal. But what is more important is coaching and mentorship with Team Global. I am here in this entire room, or the person that you are working with is representing Team Global over here, right? Team Global is a group of entrepreneurs who have learned how to make this business successful. It is the coaching and the mentorship wing, without which I personally don't believe this can become successful. As I said, getting a partnership with Amway is a 5-minute job, but getting a partnership with Team Global is the process that you all are going through right now. It takes 6 to 7 weeks even just to understand whether we have the right mindset, right? And my recommendation to you is that if you are looking about getting a plan B seriously, understand how Team Global can help you. And this information can only come from the person who you're working with and through this evaluation process, right? Again, when you go back after this conversation today, think whether you're part of this business opportunity or not. Are you going to shop tomorrow, right? Brandon, what is your answer? Yes, tomorrow or day after. I don't mean tomorrow, literally tomorrow, but in the next few days when you run out of things, right? Yes. Larry, whether you're part of this business opportunity or not, are you going to continuously upskill yourself to stay relevant in Australia? Right. And Ryan, whether you're part of this business opportunity or not, are you going to socialize to keep building a network, whether it is Facebook, online, offline or not, right? If you are anyway going to do these 3 things, why not learn about how we can channelize all the energy into these things and start making some money, the presentation